schools in our communities, which are our lifeblood. We feel like our voices are not being heard. We should have the right to stand and march in front of his own residents to say, do not close these schools. You must respect these schools for the job they're doing. You must hear our voices.
The lawsuit that we won yesterday, there were many people who told me, hey, no, what's the big deal? What are you going in for? So they'll give you the south side of the street. Is it really important to be on the north side of the street? There were other groups. I've been waiting for this lawsuit for 4 years. There were other groups who, on the eve of when we were ready to go to court, were given by the city the option to march on the south side of 79th Street. And as any good lawyer has to do, it's the client's decision. We, the lawyers, are merely technicians. Now, today, some lawyers think they're the big shots, and they're the ones who make the decision. But I remember when I was in Mississippi that summer, there was a demonstration. People were going to march. I wanted to march. I wanted to be part of the movement. And I remember Anita Blackwell, a great civil rights leader in the South, she said to me, now you white boy, we need your body outside so that you can get our bodies out of jail. And I remember that my role as the technician, lawyers can never be the movement. And when lawyers try to become the movement, you should be very careful of that. You are the movement. You decide what the movement is. You decide what the priorities are. You decide what the strategies are. We can give you the options and the pros and cons, but that's the limit of what the lawyers do. In classic terms, we're your mouthpiece, but you're the movement. And that example, the groups would take the south side. And even though I had the papers ready to go, raring to go, thinking we could win, if I didn't have a client, I couldn't go. So we worked on the papers this time, affidavits, polished them up, and sure enough, just as we were ready to go, the city called and gave us an option. This time, not only the south side on the sidewalk, but they give us a lane in, when I grew up in Brooklyn, not the street, the gutter, so that we would walk and we were able to come back. So what I had to do? I had to call a client. Now I called my client, Julie. And I had some trepidations because I've been through this many, many times. First, some of the clients then, they get nervous. It's a decision-making moment. They can't make the decision. Or if someone is one person, they say, I got to get back to the committee. And then I don't hear from them for like a day and a half. And the time goes by and the moment is not seized. And then sometimes you talk to the client and they got more questions to me when the only question I want to know, do I get a green light or a red light? Very often I get an orange light. And I called Julie. She was great. She understood what was going on. She didn't waver for a moment. And she gave us the green light. And we went to court. And I thank you for that. Even some of my former colleagues at the Civil Liberties Union didn't think it was worth it to go for the north side. And with due respect, they didn't get it. They don't understand the importance to be on the north side. Judge Alvin Hellestein in federal court, he got it in a second. He understood the nexus of being on the north side of 79th Street, where Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who claims to be the head not only of the political system in New York City, but the head of the school system in New York City. And the judge understood the nexus of why it was important for the parents, the students, and the teachers to have under the First Amendment the right to march on the north side of 79th Street. So, we won. Now, one parenthetical on this one. There are some conditions that have been set. And one of the conditions is that whoever marches with us, when we have to cross the streets, we can only cross on the green. When it says walk, when it says don't walk, nobody can cross the street. And even when the lights are blinking, no one should cross the street. We need to march single file. We need to give each person some space, because as we march down 79th Street and we get to Madison, and then we're going to cross, if it's a red light and we can't cross, the people up front are going to have to stop to wait for the light. You with me? So the people back over here, if they're not in tune to what's happening up front, we're going to tumble on each other. And then there's going to be confusion. And we can't allow that to happen. In addition to this march being about opposition to the charter schools, this can become and should be a historic moment for the right of all activists and protesters to march, not just on 79th Street, but throughout the city of New York. Lots of people will be watching, and lots of people already are saying, we can't do this. We can't do it peacefully. We can't do it disciplined. We need to understand that in some ways, all of us will be the Jackie Robinsons, the Rosa Parks, because this is a historic moment next Thursday night at 4:30 to 6:30. And we need to be able to show the rest of the city, and especially confirm the judge in his judgment that we can do this under the First Amendment. So anyone who's coming, we need your help. We need people to be monitors, to be there to make sure when the students are there that they understand the importance of how we have to march with dignity and to do it in a disciplined manner. There are many, many issues that you're facing, especially with the threat of charter schools to undermine public education. When I was at the Civil Liberties Union and many, many years ago when the charter school issue first came up, instinctively I was suspect of it. I didn't like the concept. I understood the problems of public education, but the answer was not to go set up an alternative system. The answer was to put your resources and energy into the current system and improve public education, not to create an alternative system that undermines public education.